This pumpkin nearly broke me and very nearly rotted before I had a chance to finish it. It's based on an insane Night of the Living Dead poster by the amazing Elvis Dead posters. I've tried and failed with this design once before, but this year I'm determined not to be beaten by it, so let's see how I get on. First, to make the stencil, I ran the design through AI to generate a higher definition version. AI has been a game changer for me this year. I'll show more of what I've been doing with AI in another video, but for now this version is perfect for me to work from. I took the AI upgraded version into Photoshop and made a layered stencil to map out all the tonal changes and printed it along with the original upgraded reference copy. Now to transfer the design, I taped the transfer paper underneath the stencil, then taped the whole thing to the pumpkin and traced over all the tonal changes with a ballpoint pen. Honestly, this transfer made my brain hurt when I first saw it. But I'm going to focus in on one section at a time and start to pick out some of the hands and some of the details. I always start with the brightest areas first, then work backwards towards the shadows. I also carve with the light inside so I can see exactly how deep I need to go, and work my way from the right to the left hand side so I don't smudge off the stencil design with my hand as I'm carving. For this one I stuck to just 2 chisels to keep more control over the depth. It helps with transitioning into the darker areas where things can get a bit murky. When I've used lino cutters for this in the past, I've sometimes taken way too much of the pumpkin off, resulting in the darker areas being way too bright. Now I'm having to go to work in the days and I'm only able to work on this pumpkin in the evening. So after a few evenings, disaster hits and parts of the pumpkin have started to rot. A couple of spots have collapsed from the inside, allowing way too much light through. At this point, I thought the design might have beaten me again. On the bottom left side here, where the bright patches, and also at the top right, where the other bright patches are the areas which are starting to rot from the inside. Sadly, I won't be able to finish the hands around the areas that have rotted, but hopefully the detail in other areas of the pumpkin will draw focus away from the unfinished parts. By now, I'm in a race to get this one done. Ideally, I'd love to have spent a lot more time on this, but I really wanted to grab some photos before the whole thing collapses into a soft, rotten mess.
And to brighten the whole design up, I'm going to carefully hollow it out thinner from the inside.
For the dark areas, I went over it with a Sharpie pen, smudging it with my finger to soften the transitions. And plugged the holes from inside with tissue paper to block out any excess light. It's not perfect, but enough to carry on. All in, this one took just over 20 hours and nearly gave me a breakdown. I didn't finish every detail and I'm really unhappy with some of the fingers and the fact I had to rush towards the end. But honestly, it's miles better than my first attempt. Maybe in a few years I'll come back to this design and try it again and finally nail it completely.